Hi, I'm Stephen Lanier, and this is a sequel, which I did not star in nor direct. Um, this is Stephen Reed's New Moon. I am going to be reading the entire book, cover to cover, chapter by chapter, video by video, just like Alex did in Alex Reed's Twilight. Felt like the story wasn't quite complete when he finished. It was just, oh, we're left with nothing. There is no hope. And but luckily, I have in my household a copy of New Moon, which my sister still owns. Not entirely sure why, but she does. Take a quick look on the inside flap and read a quick little tidbit about it. For Bella Swan, there is one thing more important than life itself, Edward Cullen. But being in love with a vampire is even more dangerous than Bella ever could have imagined. Oh, duh. Edward has already rescued Bella from the clutches of one evil vampire, but now, as their daring relationship threatens all that is near and dear to them, they do realize their troubles may just be beginning. I feel like you should already know this, Bella. Alright, so let's jump right into it, I guess. Get this over with. This is the second of four books series, of a four-book series about the only attractive people in Forks, Washington. Let's open it up. There is a preface or preface in this book, and it's one page thingy long. I don't really want to have to deal with that extra wordage, but I guess I will. I felt like I was trapped in one of those terrifying nightmares, the one where you have to run till your lungs burst, but you can't make your body move fast enough. Oh, I know one of those. My legs seemed to move slower and slower as I fought my way through the callous crowd, with the hands on a huge clock towered in slow. With relentless, uncaring force, they turned inexorably toward the end of everything. But this was no dream, and unlike the nightmare, I wasn't running for my life. I was racing to save something infinitely more precious. So everything. My own life meant little to me today, and the rest of us. Alice had said there was a good chance we would both die here. Perhaps the outcome would be different if she weren't trapped by the brilliant sunlight. Only I was free to run across this bright, crowded square. Oh, right, the whole vampire thing. That makes sense then. It's like, oh, we're all trapped by sunlight inside. It didn't matter to me that we were surrounded by our extraordinarily dangerous enemies. As the clock began to toll out the hour, vibrating under the soles of my sluggish feet, I knew I was too late. And I was glad something bloodthirsty waited in the wings, for in failing at this, I forfeited any desire to live. The clock told again, and the sun beat down from the exact center point of the sky. Well, shocking. I was 99.9% sure I was dreaming. I think we just established that a whole page ago. The reasons I was so certain were that first, I was standing in a bright shaft of sunlight. The kind of blinding clear sun that never shone on my drizzly new hometown in Forks, Washington. And second, I was looking at my grandma Marie. Because your grandma and Marie and sunlight don't mix. Gran had been dead for 6 years now, so that was solid evidence toward the dream theory. Apparently Bella is dreaming and her grandma, who's been dead for 6 years, is there. She looks exactly the same. Like a dried apricot, but with a puff of thick white hair standing out in a cloud around it. That's attractive. So, what have you been up to in the past 6 years? Just rotting, disintegrating into dust. Usual death stuff, I guess. Someone says Bella's name, and it wasn't the grandmother. So they turn. Oh, look who it is. It's our favorite marble slab, Edward. Let's call him Jedward for the fun of it. What was he doing? The whole reason he lived in Forks, the rainiest place in the world, was so that he could be outside in the daytime without exposing his family secret. Yet here he was, strolling gracefully toward me, with that most beautiful smile on his angel's face, as if I were the only one here. In that second, I wished that I was not the one exception to his mysterious talent. I usually felt grateful that I was the only person whose thoughts he couldn't hear just as clearly as if they were spoken aloud. But now I wished he could hear me too, so that he could hear the warning I was screaming in my head. Oh. We're just like smiling beautifully, which I imagine something like just more feminine. The grandmother is like really, really creepy about now. She's a little bit scared, waiting to be, as if she's waiting to be yelled at. She's standing in such a strange position, one arm held awkwardly away from her body, stretched out and then curled around the air. Like she had her arm around someone I couldn't see, someone invisible. So it's like, is this a curl? This isn't a curl. A curl would be like, twisty fingers. Twisty fingers. When I think of a curl, when I read curl, I was like, oh, so your arm is shaped like one of Arby's curly fries. Just trying to do whatever. Only then, as I looked at the bigger picture, did I notice the huge gilt frame that enclosed my grandmother's form. Uncomprehending, I raised the hand that wasn't wrapped around Edward's waist and reached out to touch her. Mimicked the movement exactly. Mirrored it. That's double standards. Abruptly became a nightmare. There was no grand. It was me. Me in a mirror. Me, ancient, creased and withered. Edward stood beside me, casting no reflection, excruciatingly lovely and forever 17. That's creepy. That's really creepy. Happy birthday, he whispered. Oh, I'm sorry. Happy birthday. And she wakes up and her eyelids popping open wide, and she gasped. Oh, gray light, the familiar light of an overcast morning took the place of the blinding sun in my dream. So it's back to normal then. Dreary Bella is back, guys. I'm less excited than you are because you just have to watch it in like little quick cuts and I gotta read it. This was different. Worse. Quantifiable. I was 18. Ooh, you've stepped up your vocabulary. Good for you, Miss Meyer. When I went to brush my teeth, I was almost surprised that the face in the mirror hadn't changed. Well, how much did you think you'd change in one night? Good gracious. I stared at myself, looking for some sign of impending wrinkles in my ivory skin. The only creases were the ones in my forehead, though, and I knew if I could manage to relax, they would disappear. I couldn't. My eyebrows stayed lodged in a worried line over my anxious brown eyes. At least one part of you isn't pale. And does this mean you're like going like this? Like forever? Like you just walk around like, hi, Jedward, we're in love. I could read like this forever. I wasn't entirely able to avoid my dad, and so I had to spend a few minutes acting cheerful. I honestly tried to be excited about the gifts I'd asked him not to get me, but every time I had to smile, it felt like I might start crying. I'm sorry, for someone with as little expression as you do, Bella Swan, how can you keep this up? I can't. I have to... Normal. Emotions, which she doesn't have. Well, it's true. Despair momentarily vanished. Wonder took its place. Even after half a year with him, I still couldn't believe that I deserved this degree of good fortune. What good fortune? He's a vampire. Your dinner. She's mad to get presents. Who hates their birthday? I mean, what are you mad for, Bella? You're older than your boyfriend by 1 year. Your really, really creepy boyfriend. It could be a lot worse if it was the other way around. Oh wait, it is. Alice says happy birthday and Bella like shh, that cray-crayness. So Charlie, Bella's father, had given her a camera and her mom gave her a scrapbook for her birthday, and Alice, we don't see what she got her, but like she doesn't really like the presents, but Alice thinks they're a great idea. You're only a senior once, Bella. Might as well document the experience. How many times have you been a senior, Alice? And Alice says, well, that's different. We reached Jedward then, and he held out his hand for mine. I took it eagerly, forgetting for a moment my glum mood. Oh, you're happy for once! Finally! His skin was, as always, smooth, hard, and very cold. He gave my fingers a gentle squeeze. I looked into his liquid topaz eyes. And my heart gave a not quite so gentle squeeze of its own. That sounds unhealthy. Hearing the stutter in my heartbeats, he smiled again. I'm not sure that's smile-worthy. Like, oh, when I'm around you, I cause you heart failure. Yay. We're so happy together! Just checking. He ran his hand through his tousled bronze hair. You might have changed your mind. Most people seem to enjoy things like birthday and gifts. Well, if you haven't noticed, Jedward, you're kind of dating a robot. A robot which is programmed to hate weather, people, Earth, everything but you, really? So she's broken. Why don't you get the new model? Everyone is supposed to enjoy your birthday. Everyone's supposed to be nice to you today and give you your way, Bella. What's the worst that could happen, Bella? Bella, Bella, Bella. And she's all, getting older is what could happen worse. 18 isn't very old, Alice said. Don't women usually wait till they're 29 to get upset over birthdays? I guess. I don't know. It'll be fun. You'll see. She grinned, the wide smile exposed all her perfect glistening teeth, and pecked me on the cheek and danced off toward her first class before I could respond. She's got some weird priorities here. I mean, we already knew that, but, like, she's talking about money. And here's what it says. Every penny I made went into my microscopic college fund, parentheses. College was plan B. I was still hoping for plan A, but Edward was just so stubborn about leaving me human. What? What? Edward had a lot of money. I didn't even want to think about how much. Money meant next to nothing to Jedward or the rest of the Cullens. It was just something that accumulated when you had unlimited time on your hands and a sister who had an uncanny ability to predict trends in the stock market. What? Have it so easy. All you have to do is throw down one tiny vial of plant extracts. What? I gasped. So it'd be... What? I gasped. I twisted around so that I could read his face. What are you talking about? I demanded. What do you mean this is something you had to think about once? Last spring, when you were nearly killed, of course, I was trying to focus on finding you alive, but part of my mind was making contingency plans. Like I said, it's not easy as for me as it is for a human. Sorry, I was channeling Robert Pattinson's acting. What if something had happened to you? I blanched at the thought. Would you want me to go off myself? A trace of pain touched his perfect features. I guess I see your point. A little, he admitted. But what would I do without you? Whatever you were doing before I came along and complicated your existence. He sighed. You make that sound so easy. It should be. I'm not really that interesting. Boom! Twilight! In one sentence. I'm not really that interesting. Thank you! So they all say happy birthday. So they try to open presents. That's nice. And this big silver square box, so light that it felt empty. To tore off the paper, it was something electrical with lots of numbers in the name. I opened the box, and it's empty. Yep, that's a good present. Jasper laughed. Rosalie cracked a smile. It's a stereo for your truck, they explained. Emmett's installing it right now so that you can't return it. Thanks, Emmett, I called, and I heard his booming laugh from my truck, and I couldn't help laughing too. Ha ha ha. Open mine and Edward's next, Alice said, so excited that her voice was a high-pitched trill. Ooh. I didn't spend a dime, Edward assured me. I took the little package, rolling my eyes at Edward while I stuck my finger under the edge of the paper and jerked it under the tape. Shoot, I muttered when the paper sliced my finger. I pulled... What kind of paper were you using? A single drop of blood oozed from the tiny cut. It all happened very quickly then. No, Edward roared. He threw himself at me, flinging me back across the table. It fell as I did, scattering the cake and the presents, the flowers and the plates. I landed in the mass of shattered crystal. Well, you did have your paper cut. Now you've slashed 4 arteries. Congratulations, Jedward. You lose Boyfriend of the Year. Jasper slammed into Edward, and the sound was like the crash of boulders in a rock slide. There was another noise, a grisly snarling that seemed to be coming from deep in Jasper's chest. Jasper tried to shove past Jedward, snapping his teeth just inches from Jedward's face. Emmett grabbed Jasper from behind in the next second, locking him into his massive steel grip, but Jasper struggled on, his wild, empty eyes focused only on me. Beyond the shock, there was also pain. I tumbled down the floor by the piano, with my arms thrown out instinctively to catch my fall into the jagged shards of glass. Only now did I feel the searing, stinging pain that ran from my wrist to the crease inside my elbow. Ah! Dazed and disoriented, I looked up from the bright red blood pulsing out of my arm, into the fevered eyes of the 6 suddenly ravenous vampires. Chapter 1 is over, my friends. It has been lovely reading this abysmally, distressingly poor written novel with you today. And I will see you next time.